Tell me about a past conflict that I had with somebody. Ooh, tough, because I don't usually have conflict with anyone. I'm fairly pacifistic. Okay, let's do this. At my last job, I started having some problems with a guy named Kevin. And I'm not exactly sure how this conflict arose. As far as I know, all of the it started on his side, because I do not remember doing anything to him which would constitute the level of conflict which it eventually got to. And I think because I talked to the guy maybe 3 times, 4 times, I had had a real conversation with him. And within those 3 or 4 conversations, he had somehow decided that he did not like me very well. And that he was going to let everyone know that vividly. And I didn't know this was happening for like weeks on end. But eventually, both my brother, who worked in the same company as me at the time, and my supervisor both came to me and said, hey, listen, he's been talking about you behind your back, and he's been saying all this crap about you, and yada yada yada. And it struck me as weird, because I honestly had never talked to the guy longer than maybe 5 minutes. Oh, that's not true. I talked to him. I worked with him for like maybe an hour and a half, and I guess that's where he decided that I was going to be his proverbial punching bag. I'm not exactly quite sure where this conflict came from. All I know is that by the time it came to my attention, it was fairly well known amongst the people I work with that he had major problems with me for reasons that nobody could identify. How was it dealt with? Ultimately, it was dealt with by me. At first, I just ignored the issue just because sticks and stones, right? Words are wind. But it eventually got to the point where the people around me were getting mad for me. Yes? Because I was fairly well liked where I worked. I was fairly well liked amongst my colleagues. And my brother, like I said, worked alongside me. And so he had major problems with this and felt the need to stick up for me. So it eventually just got to the point where I didn't really know what else to do. So I eventually went to do I confront him myself? Do I take this to my supervisor? What do I do in this scenario? Because he's unwilling to match me face to face. And I eventually just decided, hey, yo, listen, if I just talk to him, face to face, and just because we've been avoiding that whole issue, maybe we'll see some progress. And so that's what I did. And we had a long conversation, a very tense conversation. And I would like to say it got more hostile than I imagined it would. But ultimately, we were able to work things out, and I kind of understood where he was coming from. Apparently, I came off more pompous than I knew I did. And a lot of his problems with me came from ultimately just misunderstandings about myself. And that was strange to me, because what I learned from it is kind of how I present myself, and I'm still getting better at this, because I still have troubles seeing myself for who I am and kind of understanding how other people see me. And apparently, and for the most part, I'm fairly well liked amongst my colleagues, classmates, workmates, whatever. But apparently I just rubbed this guy the wrong way. And that was kind of a wake-up call, because I hadn't really had that before. When I was in school, if people had any problems with me, they just kept it to themselves, and there was never any issues with it. But this was kind of the first time somebody was very verbal about their dislike of me. And I just kind of had, and what I took from that is, okay. I still don't, I'm still not 100% sure what the issue was, but all I know is that I made a better impression on him the longer I got to know him. And I still don't like him to this day, but it made me realize kind of that first impressions are important, and understanding how you present yourself can really make or break a relationship within any environment, but especially a workplace. Yeah.